What are in these rolls that make it so highly addicting?
King Hawaiian Rolls are a staple in almost every household. They're sweet, fluffy, and delicious. Where I grew up in Southern California, there was a King Hawaiian's factory by the 405 freeway. Yes, the 405. You can smell the delicious sweet breads while you speed through the fast lane.
They also have restaurants and bakeries, and their guava cakes are the best. Check them out when you're in the Los Angeles area, specifically in the city of Torrance and Gardena. It's roughly 17 to 20 miles from Los Angeles.
While I was going through the ingredients list, I was curious about the ingredient potato flour. I tested these rolls so many times and I think they taste better with the potato flour than without. I'll do a separate video on how potatoes affect bread soon. Apparently you can interchange potato flour with baked potato, boiled potato, or potato flakes in bread baking. I'm using potato flour from Bob's Red Mill. I got it off of Amazon.
I made a version of these King Hawaiian rolls, and by all means they are not the same. I included a hand mixing recipe and a stand mixer recipe. Let's get started.
Hand mixing. In a large bowl, add 450 grams of bread flour or all-purpose flour. I tried both and they both work. 300 grams of water, room temperature. Mix until you no longer see dry ingredients. Cover and let it rest for 30 minutes. To the dough, add 50 grams of potato flour, half a teaspoon of malted barley flour. This is optional. 3 teaspoons or 10 grams of instant yeast, 2 teaspoons or 10 grams of salt, 50 grams of sugar, 30 grams of egg, cold. Hold up! I know you're like, Michelle, why are we measuring eggs? I've tested this recipe using 1 whole egg and I think it made the dough tough. 30 grams of egg made the rolls softer and fluffier. Plus, I like how we can use the leftover egg to make an egg wash for the rolls at the end. We also need to add 2 tablespoons or 28 grams of melted and cooled butter. Mix until all the ingredients are incorporated. Don't worry if the dough doesn't look like it's coming together. We're going to knead it a few times before the final rise. Cover and let it rest for 30 minutes. Knead number 1. Flour your working surface and place your dough on it. Knead it by pulling a piece of the dough and folding it over, then push it away with the palm of your hand. You can also do this back and forth motion. This dough is pretty sticky, so keep dusting your dough with flour if it becomes difficult to handle. Cover and let the dough rest for 30 minutes. Knead number 2. We're going to repeat the process. The dough should feel less sticky after the first rise. This bread definitely requires some elbow grease for kneading compared to my other videos where I just incorporate folds. Since this is an enriched dough with egg, butter, and sugar, it needs tough love so all the ingredients can marry together. Cover and let the dough rest for 30 minutes. Knead number 3. Hang in there, we just have to do this one more time. Cover and let the dough rest for 1 hour. We're going to now shape the dough into rolls. Flour the dough and divide it into 12 pieces. Gather the ends together. Flip them over, cup them, and roll them into balls. Place the rolls in a oiled or buttered 9x12 inch pan. Guys, I just got these ceramic nonstick pans and they are amazing. I don't need to oil or grease the pans. Whatever I bake in them just slides off. Cover the rolls and let them rest for 1 to 1.5 hours or until nice and puffy. My house is pretty cold today, so I'm letting mine rise closer to 1.5 hours. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I have a pan full of hot water to create steam in my oven. Let's make the egg wash. Add a splash of milk to your leftover egg. Whoops, that was more than a splash. Good thing I have extra leftover eggs from testing. Place the rolls in the oven. Lower the heat to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't forget this part. Bake for 25 to 30 minutes or until golden brown. Let's now make the rolls using the stand mixer. This does take less time and energy. In a stand mixer bowl, add 450 grams of bread flour or all-purpose flour, 300 grams of water, room temperature. Mix until you no longer see dry ingredients. Cover and let it rest for 30 minutes. To the dough, add 50 grams of potato flour, 3 teaspoons or 10 grams of instant yeast, 2 teaspoons or 10 grams of salt, half a teaspoon of malted barley flour. This is optional. 50 grams of sugar, 30 grams of egg, cold, 2 tablespoons or 28 grams of melted and cooled butter. Run the mixer on low for 2 to 3 minutes until the dough comes together. Increase the speed to low-medium and let it run for an additional 3 minutes or until the dough wraps around the hook. Cover and let it rest for 30 minutes. We're going to apply a fold to this dough. Pull a piece of the dough and fold over. Turn the bowl and repeat until the dough becomes taut. Wet your gloves or hands if the dough becomes too sticky to handle. Cover and let it rest for 1 hour. We're going to now shape the dough into rolls. Flour the dough and divide it into 12 pieces. Gather the ends together. Flip them over, cup them, and roll them into balls. Place the rolls in a 9 by 12 inch pan. Cover the rolls and let them rest for 1 to 1.5 hours or until nice and puffy. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Brush the rolls with egg wash. Place the rolls in the oven. Lower the heat to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Bake for 25 to 30 minutes or until golden brown. So I noticed these rolls are a little less browned compared to the hand-mixed rolls. But I think it's because I forgot to add milk to my egg wash. Milk usually helps with caramelization. That's all the time we have for today. Until another weekend, guys. Bye!